Hello, everyone. I'm Don Lemon. Thank you so much for joining us. It's tough to imagine. We often hear a mother's worst nightmare. It's a cliche. This one really is, though, because a mother, imagine this, holding her 13-month-old son when suddenly she says two kids tried to rob her, then shoot and kill her baby. I've got my panel standing by to talk about all of this and the other incidents involving gun violence just in the last couple of days. But first, just moments ago, CNN spoke with that mother. Pay attention.
What they did to my baby was terrible. What that boy did to my baby, I thought the gun was fake. You know, I didn't think the gun was real.
Can you tell me, Sherry, exactly what happened?
I was walking home from the post office, and I thought, you know, I don't go out enough, so I should take a walk. And I was 5 minutes from my house, next to the blue house out this road here. I always walk Ellis Street. And a boy approached me and told me he wanted my money. And I told him I didn't have any money, you know, and he said, "Give me your money or I'm gonna kill you and I'm gonna shoot your baby and kill your baby." And I said, "I don't have any money and don't kill my baby." And he tried to grab my purse, and I tried to tell him I don't have any money, and then he shoved me and he shot me in the ear. It grazed my head back here, and then he shot me in the leg, and I didn't feel it. It got numb. I thought it was just a BB gun because it was a small gun, and then all of a sudden he walked over and he shot my baby right in the face. And he must have died instantly because I screamed for help and a neighbor to call the police, and he ran off. He got scared that I screamed, and I wheeled my baby really quick to a safe place inside the gate of the blue house on Ellis Street. And then, you know, I took him out of the harness and I tried to perform CPR, but I saw his lungs inflating, but he was not breathing, and there was no pulse. And by the time the EMTs got there, the police, they tried to do CPR also, and we lost him. They were very wrong, and I hope that they get the maximum sentence if they're caught. If they can commit an adult crime, I mean, even the police can't even go to training without being 21 years of age. So if they can use a gun like an adult, then they can be charged like an adult. I want to see lethal injection, or at least, you know, life in prison, you know, because, I mean, this child.
It's terrible, but we must report our Nick Valencia just asked police whether she is a suspect, and they say they don't want to talk about the investigation because it could possibly damage it. We have to report that. Joining me now are Ben Ferguson, radio talk show host of the Ben Ferguson Show, also relationship expert psychologist Wendy Walsh. Welcome to both of you. This baby's death comes on the heels of a Marine in Quantico, Virginia, guys, shooting and killing two fellow Marines before killing himself. A former prison inmate in Colorado is dead after a shootout with police in Texas. It's believed he was involved in the shooting death of a Colorado prison chief. Wendy, you're a mother. Yeah. You heard from the mom who lost her baby, and the other stories. What's your reaction?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to hold in my tears here, Don. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible story. And I mean, when is enough going to be enough? When, you know, when mothers are crying because babies are shot in their arms because children have a hold of guns. It sounded like these were adolescents. When is enough going to be enough?
Mm-hmm. You are I know both your kids. I've met both of them, and it's hard for any parent to imagine anything like that. This is really personal for you and for moms around the country?
Yeah. It's very, very personal. I worry about my children walking to school. You know, as you know, one of my daughters has Asperger's syndrome, and she's doing so well now and growing up and becoming so mature. I'm afraid to let her walk across the street to school by herself. I'm afraid to let my kids walk places. I mean, they do. I swallow my fear because I don't want them to grow up being fear-based. But this gun stuff has got to stop. It makes me want to move home to Canada, Dawn.
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, it's personal for me, too, because I've unfortunately seen one of these young adolescents who went through the juvenile system and was arrested 4 different times as a juvenile, was in a gang, and then put a gun to my head and shot at me from 5 feet away. They both went to prison, but they're both out on the streets now, and they're going to commit these crimes again. And my problem is, why are we catching these people who are committing these crimes, who are using guns that are bought on the black market, and yet we're not prosecuting them for a long enough period of time? And I think the issue here is this. We have to have laws in this country that people genuinely fear. And doing and committing a crime with a gun in this country right now, and the consequences that come with it, are not feared by the criminals anymore. I mean, the guy that put a gun to me, and I say this because it is personal, he had already been convicted not once but twice in his life by the age of 22 of aggravated armed robbery with a gun. Why is he out of prison to do it again?
Okay, Ben, I understand and listen, it's very personal for both of you, and I appreciate your candor, and I appreciate your passion about it. And I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Sure.
But what if the guns were not available, right? Then would we be talking about this, Ben?
Well, I think that you're implying as if we had some massive gun control that guys that break the laws.
I'm
being serious though, because
if we had this problem with knives, people would be asking about knives. If we had this problem with people burning people, people would be asking about fire. So I'm asking about guns.
No, that's not true, Don.
Right, but here's my point. Here's my point. The point is this. Law-abiding citizens are not the issue here, and to imply or to think, people watching, that if we pass massive gun control, that people that are willing to put a gun and kill an infant child are going to somehow play by the rules is just not reality. We broke 20 laws, gun laws specifically, in Littleton. Would 2 or 3 more have fixed that problem with mental health, with kids having access, with their parents not being responsible gun owners and everything else? Absolutely not. So it's not an issue to me of gun control, because I think that gives us a false sense of security.
All right. Wendy, go ahead.
I think, you know, in Canada, which is a big hunting territory, there are a lot of guns. I grew up there for 25 years. I never saw one because the gun regulations are actually enforced. America is really great at making laws, but not so good at enforcing laws. And at the very least, we need to make the sales of guns, whether it's in, retailers have one set of rules, and then these gun show places have another set of rules, and then every state has their own kind of rules. We need at least one standardized system of what the rules are for people who have a criminal record, for people who may be mentally ill, and we need to follow them, and we need to enforce them if the gun laws are broken.
Great conversation. I want to continue on. Did you guys see the Yoko Ono tweet? Both of you? Yoko Ono says, here's what she tweeted, along with a picture of John Lennon's glasses after he was murdered with the blood on them. Over 1,057,000 people have been killed by guns in the USA since John Lennon was shot and killed on December 8th, 1980. That is a powerful, pretty powerful image. Wendy?
I'm so proud that at the age of 80, Yoko is still being a social activist. And obviously, this is very personal for her. And the fact that she's taken to Twitter at the age of 80 is fabulous. And keep it up, Yoko. I want to hear your words.
Okay, and just a little bit more, and then I'll let you respond, Ben. Here's the front page of the Daily News. It calls Congress gutless cowards. And then, Michael Moore was on Piers Morgan's show, Piers Morgan Live. He said, if a gunman killed Harry Reid's grandchildren in their school, would Harry Reid have kept the assault weapons from being introduced to Congress? These are celebrities who are getting involved, and this is the front of a newspaper taking a stand. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, I think one of the things that you look at Yoko and what she put out there, and God bless her for her doing this and keeping the conversation alive. But one of the things that I will say is, where is the picture about mental health? The guy who killed her husband had tried to kill himself a couple years earlier, had been in a mental institution. His family knew he had problems. How he was able to go out there and yet do this, and we didn't have, knowing that this guy should not have been able to purchase a weapon, that he should have been on a list. He was able to buy what he wanted to, even though he'd actually tried to kill himself.
I mean,
that's an issue of mental health.
The pictures for mental health are Newtown and Aurora.
That's my point. So why aren't we talking about one of the biggest issues here? Because once it goes political and this whole gun control debate, oh, it's the gun, it's the gun. The consistent theme that we keep seeing in these tragedies is a mental health issue, and Congress has not had one real blunt conversation about that. I would say to Harry Reid, why aren't you actually trying to fix a problem instead of both sides doing political points? Because mental health is obvious here.
Go ahead, Wendy.
I'll tell you why. We love to think in this country that we have free-range capitalism, but we don't. And we don't have socialism either. What we have is called neo-feudalism, where basically about 20 brands and 20 organizations own us, own the government as well, and nobody can get into politics unless somebody pays them to get there, and then they can't really represent us, can they?
All right, thank you. Fascinating conversation. Fascinating conversations. I appreciate both of your points. Stand by, guys. I'm going to bring in a new panel on this topic.